Hi everybody, it's Diana with Stamping with Di. Welcome to my YouTube channel and this week's Teach Me Tuesdays episode 313. And we're going to do some non-stamping fun today. We're just going to play. I made some little magnets. I don't know if I made any into pins, but I've made them as magnets before. And so I thought, you know what, I'm going to show you how I did those. So that's what we're going to do. So if you are new to my channel, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. My name is Diana and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator and I'm in Santan Valley, Arizona. So welcome. So during the video premiere, I'm in the chat room. So head on over there. I'll be there with my friends. Otherwise, if you're watching the replay and you have a question or a comment, leave it below. Then YouTube will let me know and I can reach out to you. So usually stamping is what I do, but I also like to do other crafts. I like to do antique shopping. I have plants. So you will sometimes see other videos on here other than just stamping. And today's one of them. But one thing I wanted to show you, because it was a couple weeks ago, I showed you how to make these cute little blocks. So this is one with my family, and then I showed how I did this one too, which is just my little brand. But I wanted to show you this one I made on the weekend. I love how this one turned out. So this just is sunflowers and seeds, and I put it on both sides. So when I put it on, I want to put this on my kitchen counter because I have like a little sunflower display and other, little seasonal things. But I thought if I put it on both sides, then it'll look cute either from, the front of the island or the back. And all I did for this, so I did this the same way as I did those, right? With the paper and all that kind of stuff. And I'll try to remember to link back to that video. But all I did to get the logo, I wanted to look like an old kind of a label or whatever. So I just went on to like Chat GPT or whatever, and I just said, put some sunflowers in a milk jug. What else did I ask for? The lavender, the mason jar with spoons, and I told what I wanted it to called. And then my birthday's 65, so I said established 1965, and then it came up this really cute little label. So I just, flipped it like I talked to you about. Like when you have writing, you have to like flip it so when it prints backwards. So, you have to keep that in mind if you have any writing. But I just love how it turned out. But I wanted to show that to you. All right, so I just wanted to show that to you. And yeah, so let's get started with today's video. So just like that was not a stamping video, but I've had so many of you like, oh my gosh, this is so fun. And again, I just had Jeff go to Home Depot. A lot of you said, oh, why don't you just use the wood blocks? And I found some. So like here's one, and see, these are the ones that have those grooves, right? And then like here's one that I painted them. But I didn't have any bigger ones, so I would have to, it works. They're not as thick, but it does sit, it'll stand up. So I did paint a couple, but this just is a little more chunkier, right? But anyway, so I just wanted to show you that. All right, so let me get beyond that and we'll get to today's project. So close your eyes for a second while I get my camera adjusted. So forever ago, it seems like, so I made these are just like little magnets, and I had made a couple different ones, and I put them in with some of the Class in the Mail kits or whatever. This one is just a flower, and I just stick them on my my file cabinet. But what it is so like this one, you can see, here's the little gingerbread man. And I just wrote hot glue because now that I've been using these in my craft room, I do not want to bake with them. So you can get these molds like so many places. I've got some at Michael's. I don't think we have Joann's. Is there a I don't think there's a Joann's anymore. I've got them at Michael's. I've also got them on Amazon. So these are just, you know, some of the different ones I've got. I love the little the skull. These are like little donuts. Look at these. These are cute little cactuses. Baby ducks. Here's another one of these, because when I was doing that for the class, I wanted it to go faster. We have this, and see, here is this one right here, because I'm going to show you how I do it. And then this one was a stack. Let's see. Some of these are too small. So here's these ones, and these were kind of small. So you just want to make sure that they're, you know, they're a good-ish size. And then here is that flower. So these ones, I think, made cupcakes or something. I don't know, because they're pretty thick. All right, so let me move these off my desk. So I want to show you how I did those. So you want to get a mold. Now, I found this mold on Whatnot. And I was like, as soon as I saw it, I'm like, oh my gosh, this would be really cool to do with the hot glue. And that's all we're using. We're just using hot glue. Just, you know, I have my glue gun over here on the little stand. I have these guys all ready to go. And because you want it, you know, you want it to be good and hot. And then all we're going to do basically is we are just going to fill the little mold. Now you can use these molds, you know, for resin or clay maybe. But I'm just going to use the hot glue. So you know, you're going to put it in here. So what I do is I just kind of go in here and I fill this up. You want it to be good and hot. And then we're going to need to find another one to push that in there. So you want it good and hot. And I'm just working my way. Now, it might not be perfect, right? There might be air bubbles or whatever. But I'm just filling it. So I kind of go down so I get into the nooks and crannies of it. But I think that one I got filled pretty good. And you can kind of see, like, if you have to add more. Now, if you have to add more, you know, after you've done it, you know, you can add more. And then sometimes I will take my heat gun and I'll go over it, like if I need to add more, like if I see some bubbles or whatever. But I did pretty good on that one. The trick is to let your heat gun get really, really hot, right? So when you're squishing it into the mold, it's really, really hot and juicy, you know? So let's see here. Well, let's do this one. So I'm just going to let that hot glue warm up a little bit again, because remember I just stuck one in there. But what I did was, like, when I was playing around with this, I did every single one. Like I filled them all up just so I would have some to play with. So let me do one more. I'll do this one here. And again, I'm going down like to the deepest spot. And then I just kind of work my way. Ooh, got to get another one in there. I need to get some longer ones, but I just have these shorter ones and I want to use them up. Get in there, you. Get in there. There we go. All right. So I'm just going to work away. I wish, and there probably is an electric
glue gun. Like if you were going to make a lot of these, you would probably want, well, this is, you plug it in, but you know what I mean, like battery or something. It would be cool if they had one that you didn't have to keep going like this, like maybe with just one button. That would be cool. All right, so that looks pretty good too. But like I said, the trick is, so like up here, I can kind of see where it's missing, but I don't care so much. Like if I get it super, super thick, I just kind of want to make sure I'm getting at least, you know, that shape and, you know, the textures and stuff. So I've got these two. Now what I would do is I would fill it all up, right? So let me turn my hot glue. Well, I'm going to fill this all up. All right. And then I'm going to let it cool. So I'm going to just turn the camera off. I mean, you won't know, you know, it'll go fast for you, but I'm going to turn the camera off and I'm going to let this cool down and then we're going to pop it out. Just using a little fan. Now, what would be the most perfect thing for me to do is if you have like a little wire rack, right? Like that you put your cookie sheets on. That would be perfect to set this on because then the air would get underneath the bottom of it, you know, because it gets pretty warm underneath here where the hot glue is. So then it has to dry like all the way. So if you can kind of have it be cooling from the bottom as well as the top, I think it would speed up, you know, it would speed up the cool time. Okay, so I think these have cooled enough. Like they're probably not cooled all the way through, but I think they're cooled enough to pop them out. So see, now I have this popped out. And then that one too. Look how pretty that, so you can see all that flour in there. Okay. All right, so let's see. And then what I like to do is I just take, so this is just a hot glue, you know, a skinny hot glue one. And then I just take a little hot glue and I put on the back and I just press that in there. And then that kind of gives me like a handhold when I'm, you know, painting it and doing all the other stuff to it. All right, so we're just going to set that aside. Let's see, do I have one of these? Yeah, that's the same one. All right, because it's cooler. So I'm just going to put a little hot glue. Because this one I did earlier, so it's dried a lot more. Okay, so I think I am done with my glue gun. So I'm going to unplug that. Set it off to the side so I brush up against and burn my arm. All right, so we're just going to... Now, I'm going to look at this and see if I have any little pieces. Because it's just hot glue. So I can go in here and trim like any little... Oh, I'm too close to the microphone. Hold on a second. Sorry about that. So I can go in here and just trim any little bits and pieces away, but I think that looks good. All right, let me get a little grid sheet. All right, now what I have is, let me get a paper plate. So I have to get all this stuff. All right, so I have a paper plate. I have brush. And I'm going to put black. So this is just acrylic paint. You get it at the craft store. You can get it on Amazon. Okay, so I'm just going to squirt a little in there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint this rose with my paint. Now, I'm not painting the back. I'm just painting the front. I'm getting in all those little nooks and crannies. And the black will get in there, and then you'll really see all of the dimension and the detail from the mold. Now again, when you use the mold, if you use it for anything like this, do not use it later to bake with. So keep them in your studio. Like I have these ones in my studio, and I just know that they're not, for cooking. I have some of the identical ones in the kitchen, and they stay in the kitchen. And then I know, okay, these are the kitchen ones. All right. So I think that I've got all of that covered, and it doesn't take too long for it to dry. And what I usually do is I have like a little fan that keeps my nether regions cool under my desk. I know, TMI. And so what I usually do is I just hold it in front of that fan. So I'm going to do that so that, just to speed this up and get this to be dry. Okay, so I did a few. So this one's still kind of drying. So I'm just going to set that aside. I'll let these dry really, really good before I mess with them. All right. And I have my little plate already. I need to buy some smaller plates, but all right. So this is good and dry. And it looks really cool, as it is. Let's see if you can see. Yeah, because you could see all of the details in there because that black paint just gets in there. And now you can really see, like, look at the layers of the flower and everything. Okay, so, but I want to emphasize these. And there's a few ways that you can do it. So I'm going to show you one of the ways. And this is wax metallic finish rub and buff, and this is silver leaf. And I think I've used this on my channel. We did this with paper. We embossed, just with the embossing folder, and then I rubbed it on the paper, I believe, one time. All right, but this time we're going to put it on here. So I'm just going to squirt a little bit on the plate. It does not take very much. Now this does have a smell to it. So if you're kind of like, you don't like smells, I'm just telling you, it does have a smell. Maybe you use have a fan near you or whatever, or you could wear a mask, but it comes in different colors. There's like, there's an ebony, there's antique gold, there's gold leaf, there's Grecian gold. And this one I'm using today is silver leaf. And then I just have, and I still have it on that little piece of hot glue, you know, just kind of gives me a little handhold. And then I'm going to take just a cheapy little brush and I'm going to come in here into the silver leaf stuff and I'm going to get a little bit on the brush. And then we're going to come in to the flower and then we're going to brush that on. And then I'm kind of like skipping areas because I just kind of want to get it on like the highs and the, you know, kind of stay away from the lows. We want to keep that black in there. You know, rub some of that off and that way I can kind of rub it more. So I want to take a lot of that off. And then I'm just going around in circles. And what it's going to do is it's going to move some of that rub and buff that I have on there already. And it's just going to move it around. But what it's doing is it emphasizes all of the nooks and crannies, but you still have that black underneath there. But this makes you see even more of the texture. Come on, camera, get focused there. There we go. So see that? You can really see the textures of the rose. Let's see if this helps. There we go. And it makes it look like it's like metal. It makes it look like it's silver metal. Now you could add more, but I'm kind of liking this much. Now if you add more, let me show you this one I did earlier. If you add more, so see the difference? I'm going to get this out of here because it is wanting to focus on that grid sheet. All right, so if you put more on there, so it's more silver, right? Because I put more on this one, so it's more silver. You can't see as much black. And I also put some sealer on it. So I also sealed it. So it has a little sheen to it. It made it a little stiffer. Now this, as it dries, you know, because it's still a little soft. But anyways, and I don't think that will come off. Like I think if you rubbed it, it would. But I love how that looks so much. All right. Now there's different ways you can do this. Now this was just with that rub and buff. But you can also, so this is like one of the little pumpkins from one of the other molds. And then I went in there and added some color. So we could, just for giggles, let's see here. I'm going to take the same one. I think it's dry. Yeah, this is the same one. But this time, I'm going to take some acrylic paint. Now, I haven't done this with the rose, so we're just going to see how this goes together. Now, does this need... Nope. Because some of these are new, and I'm like, do they put a cap on that? No, like they do the milk bottle. All right, so I have red, I have green, and I always just have like a variety of, you know, acrylic paint colors around. Whenever they have sales on paints, I usually try to go in there and grab some. I always have a list of ones I need for painting certain projects. So when they have a sale, I usually go in. Let me see if I can get this off of there. I thought I had this open. Hold on a second. I don't want to stab myself. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to put, and it doesn't take much because this is pretty small, right? So we're going to put a little dab of this brightish green. What is this? Celery shoot. We're going to put some of the darker green. What is this? New leaf. And red alert. All right. And then I have, again, some cheapy little brushes. So let's get our cheapy little brush, and we're going to come over here, and I don't have any water or anything. I'm just putting it right into the paint, and we're going to take some of the paint off like we did that white, not white, but the silver. So it kind of is in the brush, but not overly in the brush. And we're just going to brush it on here. So we're doing kind of similar like we did with the silver. I want to add that green in there, but I still want to see the black. So we're just kind of, it's like almost like a dry brush. So again, we'll pick up a little bit of it. And I learned how to do this from, I need to look up her name, Holly Hanley. She's from Canada. And hopefully I said her name right. If not, I will put it on the screen. All right, so we're just putting some of that, whatever, that darker green. Let's see, I think that's all of the leaves. So that looks cool, right? So you've got this dark green leaf on there. I might put a little bit more on this one. But I don't want to take away the black fully, because that's why you paint it black, because that gives you your dark, your dark base. You're just using the paints, to get your brighter or whatever, or like we did with the rub and buff. All right, and so now I'm going to take another cheap little brush, and I'm going to pick up some of this lighter green, and we're going to do the same thing. We're kind of taking a lot of it off the brush, and we're going to come in and we're going to highlight. So just kind of on the tops, we're going to put some of that, and it's just going to highlight. But it leaves that black, and it's also leaving that dark green in there. So see? So it looks like really cool, right? All right, so now I'm going to take another brush, and we're going to use the red. So I've got my red. Again, I'm taking a lot of it off the brush, and we're going to go in here, and we're going to add a red into our rose. And it just catches those edges. We might have to put a little bit more on the brush. But it's basically the same technique as we used with the rub and buff, except we're using paint. So if you're like, well, I don't have the rub and buff, but oh, I have a lot of paint. Now you can also buy glue, colored glue, right? Like I did some really cute crafts one time with like bee. I don't know if it's out here to show you or not. With like bee, those honey you know, those wooden honey things that you pick honey up. It's all curly. I don't even know what it's called, but it's called something. And I put hot glue, yellow hot glue on there. So it looked like dripping honey. And then it just dries and then it's forever got that honey on there. All right, so we're going to go in here and I'm going to move that around kind of like I did that silver. All right, so see, this is adding a little bit of red, but I need it to be a little redder, but I love that dark, that black in there. But like I said, you don't want to cover it fully. Like when I did the gingerbread man, I totally colored him in brown. Like you don't see the black. So I totally covered him in brown. And then I did the white. Then I did the red because he was, he's a gingerbread man, right? So I wanted him to look like he was chocolate. Now, when I did the flower, I left some of the colors behind. Like you can see some brown in there. You can see some black. So it really just depends on what you're coloring. Same with this one. Depends on what you're coloring, how you do your color. Like this one was colored in black first. And then I left that black mouth and the eyes black. But I added just the orange and the green on the top, like I'm doing here with the rose. Now you might be looking at it and going, oh, I prefer the paint. And it does look very cool, I will admit, with the paint. Especially if you get some of the paint a little more redder in areas. But it just is such a fun thing to do. And then you can put a pin back on it. You can make a magnet out of it. You can do like so many things with it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep messing around with this. And I think it needs a little white, but so look how cool that is. If I can get it to focus. Oh my gosh. Come on. Focus on this. Not all the stuff in the background. But anyway, so this looks super, super cool. So I'm just going to play around with this some more. Here is the silver one that I did earlier. Let me get that out of the way. So here's the one that I put the rub and buff on. And then here's the one, I was just doing with the paint, just to show you, a couple different ways. So I'm going to play with these. So these are actually the same rose. Alligator. All right, so I'm going to play with these. Fiddle fart around with more paint. Might get the heat gun out and do some more. And then Friday, I will come back and I will show you some finished projects that I did with these. So hopefully, you enjoyed this, and hopefully you don't mind when I come to you with stuff that's other than stamping, because I do. I love to make things. I love to craft. I love to cross stitch. I love to color, and all that kind of stuff. I like to read. You don't want to watch a video of me reading. But yeah, so hopefully that's okay that I come and share other things with you. All right, so I'm going to stop blatting. So I will see you Friday for my dies shorts, and that will be 3 o'clock.
hairs at a time and same channel. And I will share with you what I did. Oh, I just love how these are turned out. So I need to get some more of my paints out. Because I do love how that turned out. Okay, so I'll see you Friday. So have a good week. I'll see you then. All right. Bye for now.